Hi, good morning. Hope everyone is staying safe and warm. We did send out a link in the email a few days ago with some opportunities to ask for help and then have some of our folks in the church that are available for help and resources. It's called We Got a Guy. Kind of started from our men's ministry, so we hope that you'll utilize that. And please reach out to any of the pastoral staff team if you are in need, and we want to just do everything we can to help you. And I hope that again that you're safe and cozy and warm together. I knew we were gonna have to call our services just out of the abundance of caution and safety for you. I know that some of you would try to come no matter what, which I appreciate, but we wanted to make sure we provided something for you, for our community of faith today. And I want to stay in our Recovery Project series. So I have a message here. It'll be a little bit different. I'm here in my office recording this, so hopefully it's beneficial to us. But the title of this message today is God Restores. It comes from the passage that David brings in Psalm 34. So if you want to pull that up for yourself, Psalm 34, I'll read it for us. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul makes it boast in the Lord. Let the humble be near and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me, and he delivered me from all my fears. Look to him and be radiant, so your faces shall never be ashamed. This poor soul cried and was heard by the Lord, and was saved from every trouble. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy are those who take refuge in him. Oh, fear the Lord, you his holy ones. For those who fear him have no want. The young lions suffer want and hunger, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. Come, O children, listen to me. I will teach you to fear the Lord. Which of you desires life and covets many days to enjoy good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against evildoers, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and rescues them from all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord rescues them from them all. He keeps all their bones. Not one of them will be broken. Evil brings death to the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be condemned. The Lord redeems the life of his servants. None of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. This is the word of the Lord for us this morning. Thanks be to God. Restoration, or the idea that God will restore, seems almost too good to be true. I think we like the idea of it, but we're not always sure how to trust it, particularly how to go about it. Probably because we've learned to live our lives with what is fractured and broken. We sort of manage it. We manage disappointment, we adapt to loss, we cope with regret. And over time, survival, particularly in the Christian life, survival can masquerade as faithfulness. We tell ourselves we're doing fine, even when something deep within us remains fractured and broken. This passage, Psalm 34, comes to us really as a testimony, David's testimony. He's bearing witness. This psalm is born out of a strange, bizarre, and really devastating episode in David's life. He's running for his life, pretending madness before King Achish to escape death. It's a moment of fear, he's disoriented, and he's desperate. But still somehow, from that place of desperation, David sings, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall be continually in my mouth." You might have heard it. That is, it will ever be on my lips. That opening line sets the tone. It actually tells us really something important about this journey, the journey of restoration, of restoring a life of wholeness. Praise does not wait for everything to be fixed. Praise is often what opens the door for restoration to begin in the first place. It's often neglected, but I think it's the antidote for so many of our issues. David blesses God, not because his life is neat and tidy, not at all. It's not well put together, but because God has met him in this disordered life, this chaos. The faithful walk of a follower of Jesus is not about stopping bad habits or correcting moral failures. It's about being restored to truth, restored to wholeness, restored to our Creator. This passage reminds us that restoration is not self-generated. It's received. It begins not with our strength, but with our honesty. Which is why last week I offered this word on surrendering control. The illusion of "I'm fine" is really a way and a form of control. We keep people at bay so that we protect ourselves, our image, our need, our weakness, even when we're not fine. David says, "I sought the Lord, and he answered me, and he delivered me from all my fears." Notice what David names. He does not name his enemies or his problems. He names fear. Fear is often what needs restoring first, because fear distorts our perception of God. It convinces us we're alone. It tells us that what has been broken will always be broken. We have a fear of failure, failing ourselves or other people. And I want you to hear me. Failure does not have to be fatal. It's simply an opportunity to begin again, to step back on the path. The psalm invites us to imagine a God who doesn't retreat from our fear, our issues, our struggles. Rather, listens to it. The poor soul, he says, this poor soul cried and was heard by the Lord, was saved from every trouble. There's no pretense here. David doesn't approach God as a king, a warrior, some spiritual hero. He comes as one who is poor in spirit, exposed, aware of his need. One of the great obstacles of the Christian life is the illusion that we must be impressive to be helped. We must have some sort of stature or status to be revered, and that's how we help people. But this passage dismantles that illusion. God's restoring work is actually drawn towards this humility, not competence, drawn toward truthfulness, honesty, openness, not managing it, not image management. I've spent a lot of years, particularly early on in my life, trying to be interesting. It can be a danger, particularly for someone who stands in front of people and is a preacher, to try to be clever. And I wrestle with that. I battle that. I want it to land properly. I want it to get your attention. I want it to connect. But I think there's a danger in wanting to be interesting, because it becomes about you. And I've shifted my life. Just a few weeks ago, turned 52, and as I think about the remainder of my life in this season, I don't want to be interesting. I want to be interested. I I want to be interested in people, interested in stories, interested in my life, rather than simply trying to be something that people would revere and admire. All of us want the attaboy, attagirl. All of us want to be respected and encouraged, but it becomes a losing pursuit when it is only about us. And I think this work of restoration is really depicted in this psalm. The angel of the Lord encamps around, builds camp around those who fear him, who admire him, and he delivers them. Understand, this is not a promise of insulation from hardship. There will still be things that come. David's life still becomes complicated. Saul will still pursue him. Conflict will come. He makes a mess over and over again. But restoration doesn't mean the absence of struggle. It means the presence of God in the struggle, with us in the struggle. And then, of course, comes this invitation: taste and see that the Lord is good. Happy are those who take refuge in him. Taste and see. Not analyze and conclude, not master and control, simply taste and see. This is experiential language. Restoration is not primarily intellectual. Neither is the Christian life, this intellectual pursuit. It's relational. It's learned in refuge. So maybe the good question for us is, where do we go for refuge? Where do you find refuge? When I was in youth ministry, we used to play a variation of the game hide and seek. We would have a lock-in or something where it was a youth event and the students were all at the church. And we played the game Sardines. And I'm sure some of you have played the game Sardines. It's where everybody goes and hides, and then slowly but surely everybody ends up at least in one section together, crammed in like sardines somewhere. And it was a fun game. It was easy to do, and the kids enjoyed it. There was one particular night where we couldn't find one of our students. Her name was Kristen. She was the last one, and I remember, saying, okay, well, she's obviously won the game. We need to find where Kristen is. And the church was pretty big, and so we were everybody starts to search. Hey, okay, the game is over. We're yelling for Kristen. And finally, a couple of other leaders found her. They were calling her name. And then everybody else made their way back to where she was kind of behind the platform where there was an extra room. And she found this one little area, one little sort of nook and cranny kind of area. And she was little herself. And when I got there, one of my youth leaders said, she decided before this whole thing, she had scouted it out. She knew where she was going to hide. She knew a great place to hide. And I was like, Kristen, what a great place. She goes, yeah, I had already made up my mind. I knew I was going to come here. I think that's really an important story related to this kind of refuge. Restoration, recovery, this life of wholeness really begins when we stop running and start hiding in the right place. We've all hidden somewhere, in work and control and numbing behaviors and spiritual busyness. This passage, though, redirects our hiding. Happy are those who take refuge in him. Refuge implies that there's some sort of chaos or problem or issue. It assumes we can't save ourselves, so we have to go somewhere. It acknowledges that something has gone wrong and we are in need. I wonder if it might be helpful for us to even think about that story of sardines. Kristen knew where to go. She had already scouted out before the game started. What if we, as people of faith, and we know this, but what if we already decide before the things happen, before the chaos or the struggle or the difficulty happens, we already know where to go. We've already made up our minds to take refuge in God's presence. How do you do that? Well, of course you know that's that's reading Scripture every day, even when you don't understand. What does this mean? Ingest it. The Spirit of the Lord and the Logos of Jesus, the person of Jesus, this is the Word. And in it, it's alive and it's in us. Our daily prayers, our assembly. It's one of the reasons why you join here online on Sunday when we don't have an opportunity to be together. It's this desire of communal worship, of sharing burdens with one another. That's how we know where to go, taking refuge in the Lord. He is near to the brokenhearted. He saves the crushed in spirit. I've used those words often in funeral liturgy and other times to say that he knows you. He knows what's happening in your life. He knows because he's near. He's not disappointed in you. He's not impatient. God doesn't wait for the heart to be repaired to draw close. No, he draws close to the brokenhearted. What incredible language. Actually, the Hebrew language here suggests something pressed down, ground into a fine sort of powder kind of thing. It's this idea that it's pulverized. This is not discouragement. This is not disappointment or something that you think of, this is deep inner collapse. And many of you know and have experienced yourself a deep inner collapse. What am I supposed to do now when things unfold the way they unfold? This is exactly where God situates himself. Because this is not God meeting us at our best. He's meeting us at our truest. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, as the psalmist says. Faithfulness does not exempt us from pain, and holiness does not guarantee some sort of life of ease. The journey is about becoming who God has created us. Not immune to affliction, but learning who holds us through it. He rescues, as David says. Rescue doesn't always mean removal completely. Wouldn't that be great? Just to remove us completely from all of this. Sometimes it means endurance with meaning and purpose. Sometimes it means surviving while hope remains intact. Sometimes it means that the future might not be visible, but it's no longer impossible. Several years ago, I sat with a man who really, by all accounts on the surface, had lost everything. His marriage had ended. His job was gone. His reputation in the community was tarnished. There had been things that he had participated in that would not necessarily, be this horrible addiction behavior, that kind of thing. At least it wasn't so on the surface. But he was exhausted from trying to handle everything himself. And he had made some messes of his life. He said, I feel like my life is burned to the ground and I'm standing in the ashes trying to decide if it's even worth rebuilding. This is pressed down, pulverized, devastated. That was an honest statement from him. It wasn't self-pity. It was really authentic and real. And for a long time, he would speak with me about how things used to be, what life used to be like, all the things that he accomplished and what he used to do and how things used to be in every situation and all the areas of his life. But slowly, and it was not overnight, he began to realize that God was not rebuilding the old structure. God was doing something deeper and something new. He was restoring his soul. Again, it took time. This was not the next day or even weeks. It was months and even years. He began to tell the truth about his fear and his anger, and some of that stuff came to the surface about the ways that he had hidden himself from God and from other people. And it didn't change overnight, but something shifted. He began asking a different question. Rather than, how do I get my life back? He began asking, who am I becoming? What am I to do now in this season of life? How can God use me now? Years later, he would say to me, it was actually even last year, he had said, I would never have chosen that road again. I wouldn't choose to go back to the road that brought me to this place, but I would not trade who God has made me along the way. Friends, that is restoration. It's the epitome of it. It's not erasing the loss, but the redemption of it. Psalm 34 helps us see that restoration is not about returning to the previous version of ourselves. It's about being reformed and formed into truth. God does not simply fix what is broken, he heals what is wounded and reshapes what has been distorted from our own decisions and choices, as well as the things that have happened to us that we have to figure out how to navigate through. Toward the end of the psalm, David says, evil brings death to the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be condemned. Wow, yikes. But this is not about moral superiority, it's really about trajectory. Sin, when left unaddressed, really corrodes us from the inside out, and it insulates. This is the interesting dichotomy of this. It erodes from the inside out, but we are isolated. And it fractures the community, and we then stop. We resist. And then it deforms desire. The work here is to name this honestly, openly. It's not intended to shame us. It's intended to save us. The Lord redeems the life of his servants. None of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. Redemption here means that we are reclaiming something that has seemingly been lost. God does not discard the damaged lives. He redeems and restores them to purpose, to communion, to hope. In this series, we are learning that transformation is rarely dramatic, rarely like a movie. We don't always wrap it up in just a 30-minute episode of a show. It's layered, it's slow, it's sometimes a frustrating process, which is why a lot of us end up sort of giving up on it. But Psalm 34 reminds us that God is patient. Thanks be to God. That he's near. He's attentive to the cries that sometimes we barely even know how to articulate. Restoration is not about becoming someone else. It's about a rediscovery, a discovery of who you were intended to be in the first place. It's about becoming whole. It's about aligning ourselves with the truth of God's presence and his mercy. It's about learning to trust that God can do something faithful with what we have left after the things that have happened in our lives. Some of us are early on in this journey, navigating this, learning how to be accountable and to be open and honest, to surrender. Some of us are tired of starting over. It seems like we just keep starting over. It doesn't have to feel like that. Maybe some of us are looking at this series and thinking, well, I don't really know where I fit here. I don't even know if I'm comparing my pain to someone else's pain. Remember what I've told you. If you're comparing yourself to someone else, you're comparing yourself to an impossibility. You are a unique, created individual. God has uniquely stitched you together. Comparing yourself to someone else is a losing pursuit. This passage makes room for all of us. Those that are fearful, those that are brokenhearted, the crushed in spirit, the ones still praising, and the ones who are barely whispering a prayer. God restores, not because we deserve it, not because we manage it well, but because God's nature is to redeem his creation. It is who he is. So today the invitation is probably pretty simple. Taste and see. Seek the Lord. Cry out honestly. Take refuge. Know where you're going to take refuge. And trust that God, who draws near to the brokenhearted, is still at work, even now. This life of restoration is not a detour from faith. It's often a place where faith becomes real. And restoration in God's hands is never wasted. Let me pray this prayer of benediction to you and over you, and pray that God has spoken to your heart and that you are in this work of restoration alongside of us. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you, and the countenance of his face truly give you peace. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.